A former high-ranked executive at General Motors, Michael Dunn, and now one of the most respected global industry analysts, has revealed exactly how you guys in America are going to be able to buy electric cars from China with no tariffs. I'm talking, okay, a tiny, tiny little tariff, which is minuscule. Lower tariffs than Europe, put it that way, much lower. He says they're going to come through the back door, through an avenue that has already been planned. China has seen this opportunity and they are currently, well, flooding a certain market with these zero mileage used cars from China. Basically, these cars are going to go to the US. And I think this is actually a genius plan. I honestly think the US government has lost their minds. I think putting a tariff on EVs from China, I understand doing that, but not putting 100 and whatever percent it is. That is ridiculous. That kind of protectionism, that has never worked out for any country ever. It's never. Tell me an example of how that level of protectionism, basically banning your citizens from purchasing a vehicle, has that ever worked out? It's never been a success. But either way, China said, well, okay, great, you do that and we'll figure out a way around it. And they already have. Michael Dunn has just revealed how exactly it's happening. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching The Electric Viking. Great to have you with us. And thank you to our YouTube members for supporting the channel. Guys, for some reason, all the not enormous channels, all the not mainstream channels, over the last couple of months have been hit by this weird Google algorithm change. So it means that you're not going to see my videos pop up in your feed. Very good chance it's all been warped and changed. So make sure that you click that little icon notification bell, or maybe even bookmark the channel, and then you can access the videos more easily, get access to those videos. Otherwise, you're just not going to see them in your feed. I'm still making them. People email me saying, where are the videos? But I'm still making them. Anyhow, to give you some context on this story, China says it has tightened its used car export rules, raising barriers for zero-kilometer vehicles in foreign markets. So what's been happening is companies in China, they've been calling their cars sold when they're not. This is true. I'm not going after any companies, but this is a fact. A lot of them have been doing this. And then what they do is they get the subsidies from the government and they actually then ship the cars through sort of second parties or intermediaries to other countries around the world. So they get those China-based subsidies, but they're actually shipping the cars to other countries. I actually don't see it as that big of a deal, but anyway, the Chinese government isn't really a fan of it. And China exported 275,000 vehicles in 2023 with an export value of $6.9 billion US dollars. In 2024, China exported more than 436,000 cars, which was an increase of 58.5%. So these numbers show you what China's automakers have been doing, which is flooding certain markets. And they are flooding one particular market because it's open to Chinese EVs, and that is Mexico, right? Mexico has sales of Chinese cars in Mexico have skyrocketed over the last couple of years.
The Chinese have targeted Mexico as a prime export market.
Michael says this: what if car dealers in San Diego, Phoenix, and San Antonio began importing lightly used, zero mileage used cars from Mexico and delivering them to American buyers? In China itself, EV companies are already selling zero mileage secondhand cars to get around regulations intended to end price wars. Today, America imposes a 147.5% duty, preposterous, on new electric cars imported from China, according to data from the US Government of Commerce, a formidable wall that has slammed the door shut on direct imports from any Chinese car companies. But used car imports from Mexico are subject to only a 25% tax. And let's be real, guys. As if the Chinese are not making cars for well under 25% less than American companies can. I mean, think about it. They're making millions of electric cars. This year, 22 million electric cars will be sold worldwide, according to Bloomberg NEF, 22 million. And about 75% of those will be made in China. So what's that? 16 million car EVs being made in China? Just the sheer scale of the amount of EVs being made in China means it's so much cheaper to make them in China, plus the lower wages, plus they work longer hours, plus their factories are more efficient and they're set up to just build EVs. I mean, a 25% tariff is peanuts, considering all of those advantages. American dealers buying from Mexico will have lots of choices. In fact, they do already. You could do this yourself, in fact, if you wanted to. China now exports more cars to Mexico than any other market on the planet. The Mexican car market is not that big. So what's happening? Mexican consumers are already driving hundreds of thousands of BYDs, Cherries, Zeekas, Aeons, SAIC MG EVs, many different models. A few weeks back, Michael says he crossed the border from San Diego to Tijuana and walked less than a mile to a BYD dealership. In other words, they are right there on the border. There, he test drove several new products, including the US $45,000 Shark pickup truck. By the way, in Australia, it costs about US $35,000 US. It's pretty damn good for that price. And the $20,000 Mini, the Dolphin, the BYD Dolphin, $20,000 US. Would Americans want one of those for $20,000 US? Or maybe even less than that? Yeah, I think they would. BYD plans to sell 80,000 cars in Mexico this year, up from 0 in 2020. If they're going to sell 80,000 cars in Mexico this year, how many are they going to sell in 5 years' time? Yeah, you can see exactly what's happening. Michael says that while behind the wheel, he asked a BYD sales consultant named Luna about consumer perceptions. Not a lot of Mexican customers are familiar with the BYD brand, she said, but they get excited when they see the quality they can get at these prices. BYD's infotainment is the best in the industry, way ahead of General Motors, Ford, and Toyota. Now, is BYD's infotainment actually the best in the industry? No, absolutely not. But it's pretty good. It's very good. And I would agree, unquestionably, it is much better than anything in any Toyota you can buy. Veteran executives from the Mexican industry told Michael that BYD and other Chinese cars are hurting legacy automakers. Stellantis and General Motors are losing market share at a rapid pace. Profits are falling fast as well. And you can see that in their quarterly sales reports. Look at their profit numbers collapsing. In the last week of May, BYD cut prices on most of its models sold in China by between 12 to 31%, after already discounting the prices several times. That means the BYD Dolphin, it starts at $7,800 US. Similar drops in prices will happen. They've been happening in Australia. They're happening in Mexico. It's going to be cheaper for Americans to just hop across the border to Tijuana or wherever your border is, whatever's closest to you, whatever Mexican city is closest to your border, buy a new EV or a lightly used EV and drive it home. That's going to be happening en masse. Dealers in Mexico told Michael Dunn that they are barely breaking even on the sales of new Chinese cars, but they do not want to miss out on securing the franchise for the next Toyota. They're saying it's the next Toyota. Toyota's finished. So people say, Electric Viking, you're too critical of Toyota. They're going to be the biggest in the world for years and years. Well, the dealerships don't agree with you. The dealerships are willing to do this to get market share. They are even willing to lose money in the short term. These Chinese dealerships, right, willing to lose money in the short term. Yeah, legacy automakers, they are not used to doing that, and they're certainly not willing to do that. I think dealers in Texas would be disappointed not to have these vehicles in their own showrooms too, said one dealer. It is hard to imagine Chinese cars not fighting their way into Texas, Arizona, California, and, well, to be honest, every state in America through this back channel. American car buyers would be dazzled by the surprisingly high levels of quality and the advanced technology. Detroit would be in a panic. I mean, Detroit is already in a panic. This would only heighten their alarm even more. Politicians in DC would be absolutely furious. They would no doubt move to quickly stop the action at the border, or at least try to. But once the genie is out of the bottle, can she be put back in?